Brahmajala Sutta. The supreme net what the teaching is not. Thus have I heard. Once the Lord was travelling along the main road between Rajagaha and Nalanda with a large company of some 500 monks. And the wanderer, Sapiya, was also travelling on that road with his pupil the youth, Brahmadatta. And Sapiya was finding fault in all sorts of ways with the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, whereas his pupil, Brahmadatta, was speaking in various ways in their praise. And so these two, teacher and pupil, directly opposing each other's arguments, followed close behind the Lord and his order of monks. Then the Lord stopped for one night with his monks at the royal park of Ambalatthika. And Sapiya too stopped there for the night with his pupil Brahmadatta. And Sapiya went on abusing the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, while his pupil Brahmadatta defended them. And thus disputing, they followed close behind the Buddha and his order of monks. Now in the early morning a number of monks, having got up, gathered together and sat in the round pavilion, and this was the trend of their talk. It is wonderful, friends, it is marvelous how the blessed Lord, the Arahant, the fully enlightened Buddha knows, sees, and clearly distinguishes the different inclinations of beings. For here is the wanderer Sapiya finding fault in all sorts of ways with the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, while his pupil Brahmadatta in various ways defends them. And, still disputing, they follow closely behind the blessed Lord and his order of monks. Then the Lord, being aware of what those monks were saying, went to the round pavilion and sat down on the prepared seat. Then he said, "Monks, what was the subject of your conversation just now? What talk have I interrupted?" And they told him, "Monks, if anyone should speak in disparagement of me, of the Dhamma or of the Sangha, you should not be angry, resentful, or upset on that account. If you were to be angry or displeased at such disparagement, that would only be a hindrance to you. For if others disparage me, the Dhamma or the Sangha, and you are angry or displeased, can you recognize whether what they say is right or not? No, Lord, if others disparage me, the Dhamma or the Sangha, then you must explain what is incorrect as being incorrect, saying, that is incorrect, that is false, that is not our way, that is not found among us. But, monks, if others should speak in praise of me, of the Dhamma or of the Sangha, you should not on that account be pleased, happy or elated. If you were to be pleased, happy or elated at such praise, that would only be a hindrance to you. If others praise me, the Dhamma or the Sangha, you should acknowledge the truth of what is true, saying, that is correct, that is right, that is our way, that is found among us. It is, monks, for elementary, inferior matters of moral practice that the worldling would praise the Tathagata. And what are these elementary, inferior matters for which the worldling would praise him? Short section on morality. Abandoning the taking of life, the ascetic Gautama dwells. Refraining from taking life, without stick or sword, scrupulous, compassionate, trembling for the welfare of all living beings. Thus the worldling would praise the Tathagata. Abandoning the taking of what is not given, the ascetic Gautama dwells. Refraining from taking what is not given, living purely, accepting what is given, awaiting what is given, without stealing. Abandoning unchastity, the ascetic Gautama lives far from it, aloof from the village practice of sex. Abandoning false speech, the ascetic Gautama dwells. Refraining from false speech, a truth speaker, one to be relied on, trustworthy, dependable, not a deceiver of the world. Abandoning malicious speech, he does not repeat there what he has heard here to the detriment of these, or repeat here what he has heard there to the detriment of those. Thus he is a reconciler of those at variance and an encourager of those at one, rejoicing in peace, loving it, delighting in it, one who speaks up for peace. Abandoning harsh speech, he refrains from it. He speaks whatever is blameless, pleasing to the ear, agreeable, reaching the heart, urbane, pleasing and attractive to the multitude. Abandoning idle chatter, he speaks at the right time, what is correct and to the point, of Dhamma and discipline. He is a speaker whose words are to be treasured, seasonable, reasoned, well defined and connected with the goal. Thus the worldling would praise the Tathagata. The ascetic Gotama is a refrainer from damaging seeds and crops. He eats once a day and not at night, refraining from eating at improper times. He avoids watching dancing, singing, music and shows. He abstains from using garlands, perfumes, cosmetics, ornaments and adornments. He avoids using high or wide beds. He avoids accepting gold and silver. He avoids accepting raw grain or raw flesh. He does not accept women and young girls, male or female slaves, sheep and goats, cocks and pigs, elephants, cattle, horses and mares, fields and plots. He refrains from running errands, from buying and selling, from cheating with false weights and measures, from bribery and corruption, deception and insincerity, from wounding, killing, imprisoning, highway robbery, and taking food by force. Thus the worldling would praise the Tathagata. Middle section on morality. Whereas, gentlemen, some ascetics and Brahmins, feeding on the food of the faithful, are addicted to the destruction of such seeds as are propagated from roots, from stems, from joints, from cuttings, from seeds. The ascetic Gotama refrains from such destruction. Thus the worldling would praise the Tathagata. Whereas some ascetics and Brahmins, feeding on the food of the faithful, remain addicted to the enjoyment of stored up goods such as food, drink, clothing, carriages, beds, perfumes, meat. The ascetic Gotama refrains from such enjoyment. Whereas some ascetics and Brahmins, remain addicted to attending such shows as dancing, singing, music, displays, recitations, hand music, cymbals and drums, fairy shows, acrobatic and conjuring tricks, combats of elephants, buffaloes, bulls, goats, rams, cocks and quail, fighting with staves, boxing, wrestling, sham fights, parades, maneuvers and military reviews. The ascetic Gotama refrains from attending such displays. Whereas some ascetics and Brahmins remain addicted to such games and idle pursuits as 8 or 10-row chess, chess in the air, hopscotch, spillikins, dicing, hitting sticks, hand pictures, ball games, blowing through toy pipes, playing with toy plows, turning somersaults, playing with toy windmills, measures, carriages and bows, guessing letters, guessing thoughts, mimicking deformities. The ascetic Gotama refrains from such idle pursuits. Whereas some ascetics and Brahmins remain addicted to high and wide beds and long chairs, couches adorned with animal figures, fleecy or variegated coverlets, coverlets with hair on both sides or one side, silk coverlets, embroidered with gems or without, elephant dash, horse or chariot rugs, choice spreads of antelope hide, couches with awnings, or with red cushions at both ends. The ascetic Gotama refrains from such high and wide beds. Whereas some ascetics and Brahmins remain addicted to such forms of self-adornment and embellishment as rubbing the body with perfumes, massaging, bathing in scented water, shampooing, using mirrors, ointments, garlands, scents, unguents, cosmetics, bracelets, headbands, fancy sticks, bottles, swords, sunshades, decorated sandals, turbans, gems, yak-tail fans, long-fringed white robes. The ascetic Gotama refrains from such self-adornment. Whereas some ascetics and Brahmins remain addicted to such unedifying conversation as about kings, robbing ministers, armies, dangers, wars, food, drink, clothes, beds, garlands, perfumes, relatives, carriages, villages, towns and cities, countries, women, heroes, street and well gossip, talk of the departed, desultory chat, speculations about land and sea, talk about being and non-being. The ascetic Gotama refrains from such conversation. Whereas some ascetics and Brahmins remain addicted to disputation such as, "You don't understand this doctrine and discipline, I do. How could you understand this? Doctrine and discipline, dash your way is all wrong, mine is right. I am consistent, you aren't. You said last what you should have said first, and you said first what you should have said last. What you took so long to think up has been refuted, your argument has been overthrown, you're defeated. Go on, save your doctrine, get out of that if you can. The ascetic Gautama refrains from such disputation. Whereas some ascetics and Brahmins remain addicted to such things as running errands and messages, such as for kings, ministers, nobles, Brahmins, householders, and young men who say, go here, go there. Take this there, bring that from there. The ascetic Gautama refrains from such errand running. Whereas some ascetics and Brahmins remain addicted to deception, patter, hinting, belittling, and are always on the make for further gains, the ascetic Gautama refrains from such deception. Thus the worldling would praise the Tathagata. Large section on morality. Whereas some ascetics and Brahmins, feeding on the food of the faithful, make their living by such base arts, such wrong means of livelihood as palmistry, divining by signs, portents, dreams, body marks, mouse gnawing, fire, ablations from a ladle of husks, rice powder, rice grains, ghee or oil, from the mouth or of blood, reading the fingertips, house and garden lore, skill in charms, ghost lore, earth house lore, snake lore, poison lore, rat lore, bird lore, crow lore, foretelling a person's lifespan. Charms against arrows, knowledge of animals' cries, the ascetic Gautama refrains from such base arts and wrong means of livelihood. Whereas some ascetics and Brahmins make their living by such base arts as judging the marks of gems, sticks, clothes, swords, spears, arrows, weapons, women, men, boys, girls, male and female slaves, elephants, horses, buffaloes, bulls, cows, goats, rams, cocks, quail, iguanas, bamboo rats, tortoises, deer. The ascetic Gautama refrains from such base arts. Whereas some ascetics and Brahmins make their living by such base arts as predicting, the chiefs will march out, the chiefs will march back, our chiefs will advance and the other chiefs will retreat, our chiefs will win and the other chiefs will lose, the other chiefs will win and ours will lose, thus there will be victory for one side and defeat for the other. The ascetic Gautama refrains from such base arts. Whereas some ascetics and Brahmins make their living by such base arts as predicting an eclipse of the moon, the sun, a star, that the sun and moon will go on their proper course, will go astray, that a star will go on its proper course, will go astray, that there will be a shower of meteors, a blaze in the sky, an earthquake, thunder, a rising, setting, darkening, brightening of the moon, the sun, the stars, and such will be the outcome of these things. The ascetic Gautama refrains from such base arts and wrong means of livelihood. Whereas some ascetics and Brahmins make their living by such base arts as predicting good or bad rainfall, a good or bad harvest, security, danger, disease, health, or accounting, computing, calculating, poetic composition, philosophizing, the ascetic Gautama refrains from such base arts and wrong means of livelihood. Whereas some ascetics and Brahmins make their living by such base arts as arranging the giving and taking in marriage, engagements, and divorces, declaring the time for saving and spending, bringing good or bad luck, procuring abortions, using spells to bind the tongue, binding the jaw, making the hands jerk, causing deafness, getting answers with a mirror, a girl medium, a deva, worshipping the sun or great Brahma, breathing fire, invoking the goddess of luck. The ascetic Gautama refrains from such base arts and wrong means of livelihood. Whereas some ascetics and Brahmins, feeding on the food of the faithful, make their living by such base arts, such wrong means of livelihood as appeasing the devas and redeeming vows to them, making earth house spells, causing virility or impotence, preparing and consecrating building sites, giving ritual rinsing and bathing making sacrifices, giving emetics, purges, expectorants and phlegmagogues, giving ear eye nose medicine, ointments and counter-ointments, eye surgery, pediatry, using bombs to counter the side effects of previous remedies, the ascetic Gautama, refrains from such base arts and wrong means of livelihood. It is, monks, for such elementary, inferior matters of moral practice that the worldling would praise the Tathagata. There are, monks, other matters, profound, hard to see, hard to understand, peaceful, excellent, beyond mere thought, subtle, to be experienced by the wise, which the Tathagata, having realized them by his own superknowledge, proclaims, and about which those who would truthfully praise the Tathagata would rightly speak. And what are these matters? The 62 kinds of wrong views there are, monks, some ascetics and Brahmins who are speculators about the past, having fixed views about the past, and who put forward various speculative theories about the past, in 18 different ways. On what basis, on what grounds do they do so? There are some ascetics and Brahmins who are eternalists, who proclaim the eternity of the self and the world in 4 ways. On what grounds? Wrong view number 1 here, monks, a certain ascetic or Brahmin has by means of effort, exertion, application, earnestness, and right attention attained to such a state of mental concentration that he thereby recalls past existences, 1 birth, 2 births, 3, 4, 5, 10 births, 100, 1,000, 100,000 births, several hundred, several thousand, several 100,000 births. There my name was so and so, my clan was so and so, my caste was so and so, my food was such and such, I experienced such and such pleasant and painful conditions, I lived for so long. Having passed away from there, I arose there. There my name was so and so. And having passed away from there, I arose here. Thus he remembers various past lives, their conditions, and details. And he says, the self and the world are eternal, barren like a mountain peak, set firmly as a post. These beings rush round, circulate, pass away and re-arise, but this remains eternally. Why so? I have by means of effort, exertion, attained to such a state of mental concentration that I have thereby recalled various past existences. That is how I know the self and the world are eternal. That is the first way in which some ascetics and Brahmins proclaim the eternity of the self and the world. Wrong view number 2. And what is the second way? Here, monks, a certain ascetic or Brahmin has by means of effort, exertion, attained to such a state of mental concentration that he thereby recalls 1 period of contraction and expansion, 2 such periods, 3, 4, 5, 10 periods of contraction and expansion. There my name was so and so. That is the second way in which some ascetics and Brahmins proclaim the eternity of the self and the world. Wrong view number 3. And what is the third way? Here, monks, a certain ascetic or Brahmin has by means of effort attained to such a state of mental concentration that he recalls 10, 20, 30, 40 periods of contraction and expansion. There my name was so and so. That is the third way in which some ascetics and Brahmins proclaim the eternity of the self and the world. Wrong view number 4. And what is the fourth way? Here a certain ascetic or Brahmin is a logician, a reasoner. Hammering it out by reason, following his own line of thought, he argues, the self and the world are eternal, barren like a mountain peak, set firmly as a post. These beings rush round, circulate, pass away and re-arise, but this remains forever. That is the fourth way in which some ascetics and Brahmins proclaim the eternity of the self and the world. These are the 4 ways in which these ascetics and Brahmins are eternalists, and proclaim the eternity of the self and the world on 4 grounds. And whatever ascetics or Brahmins are eternalists and proclaim the eternity of the self and the world, they do so on one or other of these 4 grounds. There is no other way. This, monks, the Tathagata understands. These viewpoints thus grasped and adhered to will lead to such and such destinations in another world. This the Tathagata knows, and more, but he is not attached to that knowledge. And being thus unattached, he has experienced for himself perfect peace, and having truly understood the arising and passing away of feelings, their attraction and peril and the deliverance from them, the Tathagata is liberated without remainder. There are, monks, other matters, profound, hard to see, hard to understand, peaceful, excellent, beyond mere thought, subtle, to be experienced by the wise, which the Tathagata, having realized them by his own superknowledge, proclaims, and about which those who would truthfully praise the Tathagata would rightly speak. And what are these matters? End of first recitation section.